All right, let's dive in. Over the weekend, Jacksonville played host to a game that, for anyone watching closely, offered plenty to get excited about if you're following Pittsburgh's preseason journey. On the surface, it was a 31-25 victory for the Steelers, but once you dig in past the scoreboard, you start to see layers of performance that tell a bigger story. Not everything was perfect, but in the middle of August football, perfection isn't the goal. Growth, chemistry, and flashes of potential are what matter most. And this game had plenty of all three. The vibe around the team was noticeably positive, and it started with what unfolded on the field. The offensive line deserves a loud round of applause, especially Brick Jones and Troy Fanu. Across the reps they played, neither allowed a single pressure, and for a team still fine-tuning protection schemes and working through depth decisions, that's a big win. The quarterback rotation also gave fans something to talk about, particularly Mason Rudolph's outing. He was sharp, going 9 for 10 for 84 yards, and in those numbers were 3 completions of over 15 yards and a crisp 19-yard touchdown to Darnell Washington. It wasn't just the stat line. It was the poise and command he showed in limited action. That bullet to Washington was one of those throws you remember, not just for its velocity, but for the way it froze the defense. And keep in mind, Rudolph and the rest of that starting offensive unit were only out there for 2 series. Washington's touchdown also gave one of the more memorable moments of the day. On the play, the poor cornerback tasked with covering him simply couldn't handle the size and strength difference. All Washington had to do was run his route, plant his feet, and the defender tumbled as the tight end caught the ball and fell into the end zone. Sometimes, mismatches are just that obvious, and Pittsburgh will be counting on Washington to create more of them this season. On defense, a few names jumped off the page. Jack Sawyer looked confident, and rookie linebacker Peyton Wilson earned praise not only from the coaching staff but from teammates in the locker room, who noted his leadership and energy. Safety one Thornhill also impressed. Yes, there was the highlight reel hit early in the game that set a physical tone, but his day was more than just one play. He read coverages well and moved with authority. It's important to remember, though, that this was a preseason game in which 19 of Pittsburgh's 22 projected starters didn't suit up. That meant a lot of reps for second-string and developmental players, making the overall performance that much more intriguing. The high points are obvious, but so were the moments that reminded everyone why these games are evaluations, not finished products. One of those evaluation spots came with first-round pick Derek Harmon. Heading into the preseason, it was already clear that assessing his performance would be tricky. True to expectation, he didn't appear on the stat sheet. There were some decent pushes late in the game when Jacksonville's depth players were in, but for most of the 3 quarters he played, his impact was quiet. That doesn't mean he was bad. He held his assignments and played within the scheme, but the wow moments simply weren't there. And for fans eager to see their top pick flash right away, that can feel underwhelming. The same sort of mixed review applies to rookie running back Caleb Johnson. In theory, preseason games are built for backs like him. There's more rushing than in a typical regular season game, plenty of rotation, and he was expected to get a good workload. He did see the ball, carrying 8 times, but only managed 20 yards, an average of 2.5 per carry. His longest run was a solid 7-yarder that showed what he's capable of when everything lines up. In the passing game, he was targeted twice, catching 1 pass for 6 yards and dropping the other in what can only be called a clear miss. That 7-yard run is worth revisiting because it showed some of his natural instincts. It came with the first-team offensive line still in, 4 of the eventual starters holding down the trenches. Johnson took the handoff, burst through the middle behind center Zach Frazier, bounced off the block, spun, and gained a few extra yards after contact. It wasn't spectacular, but it was the kind of run that wins over position coaches, the gritty, north-south style that fits Pittsburgh's identity. After the game, Johnson talked about that carry with a smile, saying he was just reading the flow of the block and trusting his linemen. He praised Frazier's work and made it clear that he sees himself as just getting started, noting, "The best is yet to come." There's no question that part of Johnson's challenge is the steep adjustment from college to the NFL. No matter how elite a program is, the jump to this level is massive. The speed, the physicality, the complexity of defensive looks. It's a different sport in a lot of ways. It's the same for Harmon, and it will be the same for every rookie on the roster. Pittsburgh knows this, which is why they've been comfortable with Jalen Warren leading the running back room heading into the season. Johnson will get his chances, and at some point, he could even push Warren, but that moment isn't coming before the regular season kicks off in early September. Back at quarterback, Rudolph's performance sparked some debate. There are still those who insist he's not a true NFL number one. But in Jacksonville, he looked the part in the context of his role. His precision over the middle was on full display, something offensive coordinator Arthur Smith schemed into the game plan. The offensive line gave him a clean pocket, and he made the most of it. If you rewatch the Darnell Washington touchdown, the angle from behind the line is telling. Rudolph has time, scans the field without panic, and delivers on target. What stands out even more is what happened immediately after that play. Rudolph turned to left tackle Brick Jones, put both hands on the sides of his helmet, and shouted something in celebration. Jones shouted back. It was the kind of exchange that shows chemistry isn't just between quarterbacks and receivers. It runs through the whole offense. That belief in each other, that sense of being part of something cohesive, is what coaches look for in August. Mike Tomlin has long valued the ability to drop a player into a situation and see if they can carry themselves like the most experienced guy on the field. In Jacksonville, Rudolph passed that test. So did Peyton Wilson on defense, stepping into a leadership role in a game that didn't feature many of the usual veterans. Those moments matter, because when the regular season comes and injuries or situations force depth players into bigger roles, the team needs to know who can handle it. Pittsburgh will be back in Latrobe to continue training camp practices, and the week ahead will bring more chances to see these roster battles play out. A joint practice with Tampa Bay on Thursday should raise the intensity, followed by another preseason game against the Buccaneers on Saturday night. For now, though, the takeaway from Jacksonville is clear. The Steelers have a lot of promising pieces, and while there's still work to do, the building blocks for September are starting to take shape. Because while August football doesn't decide championships, it absolutely decides careers, rotations, and momentum heading into the games that actually count. And when you look closely at this roster, the tension between evaluating young talent and keeping veterans fresh is going to define these next few weeks. Let's start again with Mason Rudolph, because the discussion around him has layers. On paper, 9 completions out of 10 attempts for 84 yards and a touchdown is a line that would make any coach happy in preseason. But it's not just about what the stats say. It's about how those numbers were produced. The ball placement was tight, the timing was sharp, and most importantly, Rudolph played with an efficiency that comes only when you feel fully in sync with the offense. His work over the middle was a reminder that certain quarterback traits don't fade, even if the spotlight shifts away from you for a while. The combination of Arthur Smith's play design and a line that refused to let pressure through gave Rudolph the perfect stage to remind everyone he's not just a depth guy filling space until the season starts. He's a quarterback who can make throws in rhythm, keep drives alive, and finish them in the red zone. That chemistry with his offensive line can't be overstated either. The interaction with Brick Jones after the Washington touchdown might seem small, but those are the moments that translate when the real games begin. A quarterback who trusts his tackle to buy him that extra heartbeat is going to stand in the pocket longer, wait for the right window, and push the ball downfield with conviction. And a lineman who knows the quarterback will acknowledge that hard work, even in a preseason game, is going to bring the same intensity the next time he's called on to hold the edge against a speed rusher. Washington's touchdown, for all the highlight value of seeing a cornerback overwhelmed by size and leverage, also spoke to another truth about this team. They have matchup weapons that can tilt the field without needing trick plays or exotic formations. Washington's physical presence alone forces defenses to account for him differently, and that's before factoring in his hands and his ability to box out defenders like a power forward in basketball. In a regular season setting, that's the kind of asset that can open up space for everyone else, because you either commit a safety to help or you risk watching him do exactly what he did in Jacksonville. On the defensive side, Peyton Wilson's emergence is a storyline worth following. Preseason often exposes rookie linebackers, especially in coverage, but Wilson looked like he belonged. He played with an energy that radiated to the rest of the defense, hustled to the ball, and didn't shy away from calling things out pre-snap. That's the sort of leadership coaches love to see this early, and it's a hint that he could carve out a role quicker than expected. When Mike Tomlin talks about players who look like the adult among children in these situations, Wilson's name belongs in that sentence alongside Rudolph's performance. Juan Thornhill's presence, too, is quietly becoming one of the stabilizing forces on defense. Yes, the big hit in the first quarter drew the crowd's reaction, but it's the way he positioned himself before that hit that stood out. He read the play early, closed space with smart angles, and made sure his teammates could rally if he didn't get there first. That's veteran awareness, and with so many starters sitting out this game, his ability to keep the defense organized was just as important as any single tackle. Of course, not every evaluation was glowing. Eric Harmon's debut remains a talking point, not because he looked out of place, but because the first-round pick label always comes with expectations. The truth is, defensive line play often takes time to translate from college to the pros. Offensive linemen in the NFL are stronger, quicker, and far more disciplined with their hands and footwork. It's one thing to dominate in college when you're the best athlete on the field. It's another to win consistently against pros who have been refining their craft for years. Harmon will get there, but the stat line from Jacksonville is a reminder that even the most talented rookies aren't guaranteed instant production. Caleb Johnson's situation is similar in that the flashes are there, but the consistency isn't yet. That 7-yard run is the perfect example of his potential. Power through the hole, quick feet to adjust off the block, balance through contact. But the other carry showed how quickly running lanes can close at this level. The adjustment isn't just about speed, it's about processing. In college, a hole might stay open for an extra half second. In the NFL, that half second is gone before your second step. The good news for Johnson is that he has the frame and running style to thrive here. The challenge will be translating that style against top competition, and that's where preseason reps become invaluable. It's also worth noting how much the offensive line's rotation impacts the evaluation of running backs. Those first 2 series, with 4 starters up front, gave Johnson a cleaner runway to work with. After that, with depth players rotating in, the push wasn't as consistent, and Jacksonville's defense was able to clog things up faster. That's not an excuse. It's just part of the reality of preseason evaluation. Coaches will want to see Johnson succeed behind any combination of linemen, but they'll also take into account the quality of blocking in each series. Beyond individual performances, this game was a case study in how Pittsburgh approaches August. The decision to hold out 19 starters wasn't just about rest. It was about putting young and fringe players in real game situations. There's only so much you can simulate in practice. In a live setting, players have to deal with crowd noise, unexpected shifts, and the knowledge that they're being evaluated on every snap. That's a pressure some players rise to and others struggle with. And sorting that out now is better than finding out in October. In the end, the Jacksonville game won't be remembered for the final score. It'll be remembered as one of those preseason checkpoints where certain players began carving out their space in the 2025 Steelers plans. From Rudolph's sharp command of the offense, to Washington's mismatch dominance, to Wilson's defensive energy, to the learning curves facing Harmon and Johnson. This was a snapshot of a team in the middle of shaping its identity. And in August, that's exactly what you want to see. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Whispers have begun to ripple through the Pittsburgh Steelers locker room following a recent and unexpected outburst from none other than wide receiver Chase Claypool. Reports suggest that Claypool unleashed a fierce verbal attack directed at quarterback Aaron Rodgers, the high-profile offseason acquisition that has sparked both hope and skepticism among fans and analysts alike. Sources close to the team reveal that this verbal eruption did not come out of nowhere. Tension had been simmering beneath the surface during practices and meetings, fueled by frustrations over play calling, missed opportunities, and leadership clashes. The rumor mill is now swirling with speculation about the potential fallout from this clash, as insiders hint that Claypool's comments have caused a noticeable rift among teammates, with some players reportedly taking sides and others attempting to mediate. This unexpected discord threatens to disrupt the Steelers' preseason momentum, raising questions about team chemistry just as the regular season looms. While the organization has officially downplayed the incident, calling it internal matters, insiders suggest the tension could influence the team's dynamics in ways yet unseen, especially if it escalates into further confrontations. The atmosphere in Pittsburgh's locker room, once seen as a unified front behind their star quarterback, now appears fractured, and fans anxiously watch to see whether this storm will pass quietly or spiral into something more disruptive. As the news of the altercation spreads, speculation intensifies about what might have triggered such a public outburst from Claypool, who has generally been known for his professionalism and team spirit. Some insiders believe that the pressure to perform alongside a veteran quarterback like RODGERS, who carries high expectations and a demanding leadership style, may have created underlying friction that finally boiled over. The wide receiver's frustration reportedly stemmed from repeated miscommunications during practice drills and a perceived lack of support in key plays, sparking a heated exchange that left coaches scrambling to contain the situation. Rumors also suggest that this confrontation could have been fueled by external pressures, such as media scrutiny and fan criticism, which have been mounting as the team seeks to establish cohesion with its new offensive strategy. Meanwhile, other players in the locker room are said to be caught in a difficult position, torn between loyalty to their teammate and respect for RODGERS' veteran presence. This delicate balance within the team's hierarchy is now a focal point of discussion among commentators and insiders, with many questioning whether the Steelers can reconcile these personal differences before the season's opening kickoff. The unfolding drama adds a layer of complexity to an already challenging campaign, where every internal conflict could impact the team's overall performance on the field. The broader NFL community has not remained silent in the wake of these revelations, with analysts and former players weighing in on the potential implications of such internal discord within a storied franchise like the Steelers. Industry experts argue that while competitive tension is common in professional sports, public confrontations involving star players often signal deeper issues that can undermine a team's success. Some pundits speculate that this tension might be a symptom of a larger cultural clash, where RODGERS' established leadership style may conflict with the Steelers' traditionally gritty, team-first ethos. Others believe that such conflicts, if managed properly, could serve as a catalyst for growth, forcing players to confront uncomfortable truths and ultimately build stronger bonds. Meanwhile, fan reactions have been mixed, with some expressing disappointment and others urging patience as the team navigates this turbulent period. Social media platforms are buzzing with debate over whether this incident will derail the Steelers' ambitions or galvanize them toward a renewed sense of purpose. The situation remains fluid, and with the regular season fast approaching, the Steelers' ability to manage this internal storm could very well define the trajectory of their campaign. Within the Steelers organization, coaching staff and management are reportedly working behind the scenes to address the tension and prevent further disruption. Sources indicate that multiple meetings have taken place to discuss the incident, aiming to foster dialogue between RODGERS, Claypool, and the rest of the squad. Coaches are said to be emphasizing the importance of unity and focusing on common goals, reminding players that success depends on overcoming personal differences and working collaboratively. The team's leadership is also exploring ways to rebuild trust, including targeted team-building exercises and conflict resolution strategies. Despite these efforts, insiders admit that repairing the fractured relationships will require time and commitment from everyone involved, especially given the intensity of emotions surrounding the incident. The Steelers' front office remains cautious, aware that any misstep could exacerbate the situation, yet optimistic that a resolution is possible before the season's critical phases. Meanwhile, players are reportedly divided in their reactions, with some embracing the chance to clear the air and others remaining wary of ongoing tensions. The outcome of these internal negotiations will be closely monitored by observers, as they may reveal much about the team's resilience and capacity to adapt under pressure. As the story continues to develop, speculation persists regarding the long-term consequences of this clash between Claypool and Rodgers, with some insiders even pondering whether it could influence future roster decisions or impact contract negotiations. The rumor mill suggests that if the tension proves irreconcilable, the Steelers might consider shifting personnel, either through trades or changes in the depth chart, to restore harmony and maintain competitiveness. Meanwhile, the players themselves face the challenge of putting aside differences to focus on collective success, especially as every game in the upcoming season carries heightened stakes. Observers are keenly watching how this drama will affect on-field performance, with some suggesting that Rodgers' experience and leadership could ultimately prevail, helping to unify the team despite the rocky start. Others caution that if the discord continues unchecked, it could undermine the Steelers' ambitions and erode the confidence of both players and fans. Regardless of the outcome, this unfolding saga adds a captivating subplot to the NFL narrative, highlighting the complex interplay of talent, personality, and leadership that defines professional sports. As the Steelers prepare to face their opponents, all eyes remain fixed on how this internal drama will shape their journey forward. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Pittsburgh Steelers, make sure to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.